Welcome to another video. Myself, Brian Faulkner, Sets-Based Triathlon. We're going to talk about course specifics, and today we're going to be talking about IRONMAN Coeur D'Alene, talking about the weather for the full Ironman. It's coming back for 2021, and make sure we're ready for it. And this is the weather conditions that you can hopefully expect. You know, you'd like to try to plan ahead and look at the history, but at the end of the day, the weather's going to do what it's going to do, and we have no control over that whatsoever, and all we can do is be prepared. Just track the weather, keep tracking it the week before, month before, days before. Just make sure when you're traveling you pack all the right clothing for either warm, cold, rain, and this, maybe even snow, who knows, for Coeur d'Alene and Idaho. But just be prepared, make sure you're monitoring the weather. But when we're this far out, looking ahead, we just need to get a good game plan for what the conditions are going to be like. So if we look a little bit of the history of Coeur d'Alene, the race is on June 27th of 2021. So that is a ways away, and making this video is August 13th of 2020. There's a lot can go on between now and then. We're not going to mention certain pandemics that could change the whole thing, the whole landscape of things, but we're gonna plan on this race happening, and we're going to be ready on race day to tackle it. So if you look at the statistics, I went to timeanddate.com, so you can kind of pull up a general what's going on for throughout the year in Coeur d'Alene and Idaho. The nice thing is, you look at July and August, I mean, the highs are in the 80s, mid-80s anyway, and you're looking at humidity, and I zoomed in on June. So if you look at June stats for Coeur d'Alene, and this is the average, as long as they've been tracking stuff, so the average high is about 73 degrees Fahrenheit, which, oh man, that on race day, I did Ironman Chattanooga 2019, and it was about 95 degrees, almost 100%, or 100 degrees heat index. The humidity was like 85, 90%. It was ridiculous. That would be a nice day out there. The average low is 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Average temperature throughout the day of June is 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Average humidity, that's a game changer too, is 59%. So you're not going to lose near as much sweat and everything else and fluids through the air, because the humidity is 60%, is very low. You won't feel it as much, and it's not going to be as much of a factor. Like I said, it could change on race day, but that's kind of the averages that we're looking at for the history. An average wind of 7 miles per hour. Wind's a big deal, 112 miles on a bike, and I'll take 7 miles per hour all day, any day, every day. But we'll dig down into, and I picked June 27th through 2020. I went to 2019, 2018, just kind of get historical information. But so if you look at June as a whole, that's kind of what we're looking at. You're getting a little bit warmer, but the highs are in July and August. So in June, we're looking pretty good. And if you go on the Ironman's website, they say the average air temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and the average water temperature is 68 degrees. So we'll get down a little bit lower, but the water temperature, I'd definitely bring a full wetsuit for IRONMAN Coeur d'Alene, because I'm sure the water will be cold enough. It'll be completely wetsuit legal. Might even consider bringing a neoprene swim cap just to keep yourself a little bit warm during the swim. So I looked at June 27th of 2020, just dial it back this year. The high was 73 degrees at 3 p.m. The low is 65 degrees at 6 a.m. So you're getting in the water, it's about 65 degrees. So if the average water temperature is 68, the water might be actually a little bit warmer than the actual air temperature. Like I said, the high is 73 degrees. Typically that was later in the day when I was looking at past history too. So you're going to be on the run for that high temperature, but at the end of the day, 73 degrees Fahrenheit with, maybe a 60% humidity isn't going to be a huge factor as far as if you're hitting a race, it's going to be 100 degrees, 90 degrees or something like that with incredible heat, humidity factors. So the low was 65 degrees, the high was 73 degrees, as we talked about. And then you're getting wind 7 to 15 miles per hour, and it was coming in, blowing in east for the most part, so they have little arrows in there throughout the day. So it was mostly east, a little bit north at times, but really it was not a huge gusty wind factor. And humidity was at 59% for the highest at 4 a.m. So before you even got in the water, that was the highest humidity level you got for the day, and the rest of the day it became a little bit less of a factor as you went on. There was no rain. I think there were some clouds throughout the day, but most of the day it was sunny as well. So I look back into 2019, 2018, similar conditions, similar in 2018, but the high was 75 degrees. So instead of a high of 73, it was 75. I mean, like I said, it doesn't get much better for that, for a full Ironman, getting out there and, you know, putting everything out there and pushing your body to the edge. 75 degrees is pretty nice. I did Ironman Lake Tahoe in 2013. I think a high got in the 60s. So that's even better for running. It's not so much fun for cycling, and when the temperature is below freezing, when you start to swim, that's not exactly the funnest in the world. But like I said, the lows, you're looking about in the 60s, the average lows in the 49s. So I would imagine the beginning of June kind of drags it down a little bit. So more than likely, you will not hit below freezing during that time, the late part of June for the race. So my kind of overall take after I dug into timeanddate.com to look all this information over, overall it's pretty consistent. So there's no rain on these days. It was a little bit cloudy here and there. For the most part, it's sunny. The highs are going to be the high 60s or in the 70s. Humidity is going to be 50s to 60s. You're looking at not very gusty winds. Usually your wind, the highest winds is in the morning, and it kind of tapers off in the afternoon. And you're kind of getting an easterly headwind, and like I said, humidity is not much of a factor. Rain, like I said, I didn't find much on there, but you know, rain could be a factor on race day. So overall, it's pretty consistent. So plan on a cool morning. So it's going to be cool. What I would advise is you get there, and if you bring your wetsuit, I would almost put it on and then put your other clothes back on, so you're walking around and you're staying nice, warm, and toasty. The last thing you want to do is walk around shivering cold for an hour or two, getting everything set up, and you're sitting there waiting for the race to start, and you spent all that energy sitting around shivering, being cold, and trying to warm up. I did that for Indian Wells 70.3 in Palm Springs, California. The air temperature is in the 40s and 50s, and we're all freezing cold, but you just put your wetsuit on and you stay nice and warm. Yeah, you may have to, it may be not very comfortable to have to go to the porta potty and jack with it and everything, but otherwise it kept you very warm, very pleasant. So consider that for your very cool morning. I highly recommend bringing a full sleeve wetsuit and possible neoprene swim cap. That water's going to be chilly, especially if it's around 68 degrees. You don't want to lose a bunch of, you don't want your body to have to work overtime to produce more body heat to keep you warm. Your wetsuit will help keep you warm, and once you get that water in there warmed up, it'll keep you insulated. But you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping as warm as possible. So there's going to be a cool start to the bike. So once you get on there, it might be a little cool. So maybe you have some tube socks. You cut out the ends and make some makeshift arm warmers that you could ditch at one of the aid stations. So just plan on a cool start to the bike. When you get off the bike, it should be pleasant. You should have your race kit and shouldn't really need any more warmth and covering, that type of thing. And you know, when I say cool start, you probably won't need things like shoe covers for your bike to keep your feet warm or anything like that. It's just going to be a little bit cool in the air, especially once you get out of the water. You know, give yourself a few miles for your tri-suit or kit or whatever to dry off. So it'll be pleasant when you get off the bike, though. I mean, that's when you're getting into the highs of the days in the 60s and 70s. So it should be a pretty nice time once you're coming off the bike, and it should be pretty pleasant on the run. So you're looking at that 3 to 4 p.m. time frame. It's going to be your highs, and you're going to start be going down. So if you're kind of one of the more late finishers, you might be looking at those lows could be coming down, and pardon my cat in the background if you hear her whining. But when you're getting done with the run, it might, once that sun goes down, it might start getting a little cool. So you might pack some disposable, you know, if you take some tube socks and cut the ends out, put them in your special needs bag so you can pick them up on the second loop of the run or whatever, or halfway through the run. You can put them on your arms, and you can kind of keep a little bit of body warmth, especially if you have sleeveless gear or something like that. So just be ready. It might be a little bit cooler towards the end of the day, so when the sun goes down and you're sweating, you might actually be a little bit more chillier than you're used to. So I know I had that issue at Lake Tahoe. Luckily, I had arm warmers basically the entire run, and then I put gloves in my special needs bag because at that point in time my hands were just getting cold. So be prepared for a little bit cooler on the tail end of the run. Like I said, it's going to be pleasant off the bike, and you're going to start on a cool day. You're going to start cool. It's going to be cool on the start of the bike, pleasant off the bike, and pleasant on the run. So overall, these weather conditions look pretty prime for a very nice full Ironman race in Coeur d'Alene. So I wish I was doing the event. I'd highly recommend these weather conditions, especially for first timers. The course is a little bit challenging, but I think as far as weather goes, you're not going to find a better venue with past historical weather information like this. Now, like I said, there's always the caveat of once you get to race day, Mother Nature can do whatever Mother Nature wants to do. It could be cold, could be rainy, could be in the 40s and rain all day. Just make sure you're paying attention to the weather forecast as you get closer and closer. Make sure you do have the possible disposable. Like I bought a jacket off eBay for $15, you know, because I knew Lake Tahoe was going to be kind of cold, and I wore it for the entire bike ride. But I wanted some gear that if I threw away at an aid station in the trash, I wasn't out a bunch of money. I wasn't going to be upset about it, because the last thing you want to do is be taking stuff off, especially on the bike, and trying to figure out where to put it. You don't want to be tying around your waist. You don't want to be tying on your bike anywhere. So make sure you have some options going in. If it's going to be a little bit cooler, possibly rain, make sure that you have a lead on some rain gear. And if the forecast looks like it might be raining at all, make sure you pack your rain gear. So that'd be the last few little tidbits for Coeur d'Alene that I kind of put out there. If it rains, it'd probably be pretty chilly. You know, on the flip side, it could be some weird hot day that gets in the hundreds. Who knows? Mother Nature, like I said, Mother Nature's going to do whatever she wants. So hopefully this kind of gives you a little bit of insight what to expect. Like I said, you know, I give it a thumbs up for this weather forecast, because you know, even this far out in June 27th of 2021, you look at historical weather information, I think you're in for a pleasant day. So if you have any questions on any of the videos I put out there or anything like that, always send me a message, put them in the comments, subscribe to the YouTube channels, make sure you're following the Facebook pages to get all the notifications, and happy training out there, and we'll see you next time.